Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, welcome everyone. I will start with Arabic and then I'll move to English. أصحاب المعالي والسيادة السيدات والسادة أيها الحفل الكريم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أشكر لكم جميعا حضوركم بيننا اليوم لمشاركتنا إطلاق منصة انفستيرا لإدارة الاستثمار المبتكرة وتحديث وتبسيط مسارات الأعمال. هذا المنتج المبتكر الجديد ضمن باقة منتجات شركة الجوريثما، والذي نتطلع من خلاله إلى تدشين عهد جديد من التقنيات التي تتميز بسهولة الاستعمال وكفاءة التكاليف لشركات الملكية الخاصة والشركات الاستثمارية وقطاع المستثمرين. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would like to welcome you here today, first and foremost, for the launch of Investera, our next generation investment management platform, together with what will undoubtedly be a fascinating discussion regarding the trends we are seeing in the fintech industry here in the GCC. As the CEO of Algorithma, where Investera was incubated, I have been witness to many different technologies that have been developed in the past years. To see all of that talent and expertise and hard work is a real privilege of mine, especially when we see it come to fruition today in the shape of Investera. When we set out to develop Investera, we saw the opportunity to offer the investment management industry something new and original. We wanted to put the user experience at the heart of the platform. The team spent a lot of time and effort thinking about how we could improve the user experience to make investment management easier and more efficient. We think that effort has paid off. Investera is an innovative platform combining market-leading functionality with a user-friendly experience. Thanks to Investera, investment management professionals no longer need to be troubled by many of the mundane management tasks. They can automate the full investment creation and management process using our platform. They can benefit from instant financial report generation and from real-time notifications. They can streamline the due diligence process in a safe and secure environment using Investera's virtual data rooms. All of this means they can maximize profits, minimize risks, and most importantly, utilize their time well. It means that our technology is truly tailored to the industry needs. The financial services industry, like most others today, is increasingly seeking both improvement in effectiveness and in efficiency. For this, it requires a sophisticated solution which combines the capability to automate processes with expert algorithms to enrich functionality and evaluate actions. But it also calls for solutions which can be adapted to each organization's specific needs. This is no longer the era of monolithic, one-size-fits-all back office systems. Today's world calls for lean systems and smarter solutions. Investera is at the forefront of this smart approach. With its customizable modules, it enables each and every organization to build a bespoke platform that is right for them. Before closing, I would like to say that in this region, I have seen in the past few years a lot of ideas be created, a lot of investors participate, and I have seen products come to fruition. In this region, and when I say this region, I mean UAE and the GCC, this region will become a cradle of innovation. Thank you all.
Imagine a holistic investment management solution that's built with you in mind, saving you time and empowering you to seize every investment opportunity. Welcome to Investera, the next generation investment management platform designed for portfolio managers, family offices, private equity firms, venture capitalists, investment banks, and high net worth individuals. With Investera, you can effortlessly manage every aspect of the investment management process on a single platform and across different asset classes. Investera's extensive features cover the end-to-end fund management workflow, capital call, capital deployment, and fund structure. We allow you to build and easily manage your investment structures through a simple-to-use interface. Our sophisticated algorithms identify the exposure of your investments, enabling you to maximize profits and reduce risks. Investera presents you with up-to-date and accurate information, meeting both the generic and specific needs of investment management. Encrypted virtual data rooms, project management tools, and our alerts and notifications module help you streamline the due diligence process in a safe and secure environment. Automate the entire investment creation and management process by designing your own personalized workflows. Beautifully designed custom interactive dashboards simplify your complex data into easy-to-read graphics and charts, which reduce complexity and errors. Investera's integrated email solution allows you to quickly and securely share data, reports, and documents on the spot from any device. Our standalone investor portal application seamlessly integrates with Investera, enabling real-time performance updates of your portfolios. Whether you want to install Investera on-premise or use a cloud solution, our experienced developers will be on hand to help you every step of the way. No matter how specific or complex your requirements are, our financial experts will ensure that we find the perfect solution for your needs. And our bespoke approach allows you to customize the software specifically for you. At Investera, we just raised the bar for investment management solutions. What are you waiting for? Choose Investera today. Investera. Save time. Seize opportunity.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being with us today on this special day. I'm very proud of this product, and I'm really excited to be launching it today. Let's start by looking at some figures. In 2016, private market assets under management reached $4.7 trillion. Last year, this amount grew more than 16% to $5.2 trillion. This number predicted to rise in 2018. On the other hand, there are over 4,500 private equity firms and VC firms worldwide. 200 new firms are created every year. You can understand now why experts believe that we are living in the golden age of a private market investment. There are more investment opportunities than ever. We are here today to help you seize them. I'm very proud to introduce our new investment management platform, Investera. At Investera, we covered the end-to-end requirements of a private market investment. We have built a product that allows all the stakeholders to monitor and manage their investment on a single platform. Portfolio managers, relationship managers, financial and legal teams, compliance teams, and even the investors themselves can all work together on a single platform and have access to the same source of data. While most of the current solutions are focused on Western market, Investera is truly global. We have both a deep understanding of the local investment scene in GCC and the different rules and regulations of every market in the world. With Investera, all your information will be available on one platform, so our users will be able to focus on finding a better investment opportunity rather than being fully occupied with working on multiple tools. Because of that, our message today is save time, seize opportunity. Who is it for? Anyone working in the private market investment, whether you are a portfolio manager, family office, a private equity firm, VC firm, or even investment bank, Investera was made for you. I'm sure many of you are wondering if there are similar platforms. To be honest with you, there are some solutions on the market, but none of them are as focused on private market investment as Investera is. Current solutions have limitations. Firstly, they lack essential features. Current systems are not focused on private market investment. For that reason, they lack some advanced features essential to streamlining the end-to-end investment management process. Secondly, they are difficult to use. Financial systems are known to be hard to use and badly designed. They are usually very complex, and it takes several weeks of training to become a little bit familiar with them. Thirdly, they are extremely pricey. The pricing strategy for most of those systems is a modular-based strategy. Because of that, users have no option to select between features that are in line with their requirements. Therefore, they end up paying for features that are not needed. At Investera, we completely changed the game. We successfully built the first private market investment platform with extensive features, user-friendly design, and bespoke solution. Because we focused on the requirement of a private market investment, our software is stacked with extensive related features. With time, the list of features will continue to grow. Let's take a look at some of them. This is one of our creative features. We gave the user the option to create investment structures and to maintain all entities on the fly through a simple-to-use interface. Because we understand the sensitivity of investment-related documents, such as KYC, legal, and financial documents, our encrypted virtual data rooms allow quick and easy sharing of confidential documents in a safe and secure environment. The encrypted virtual data rooms that we just saw, along with our project management tools and our alerts and notifications module, help you streamline the due diligence environment. Customized workflows allow users to quickly make approval requests to their managers and to stay up to date with the current status of each request. Managers also can approve these requests easily by email without accessing the system using our secure one-time token. Our sophisticated algorithms will allow the user to calculate the direct and indirect exposure for any investment. This information will allow you to make quicker decisions and reduce risk. Our standalone investor portal application enables real-time performance update of your portfolios and allows the investor to access all of his documents and reports. Also, for family offices, we developed a similar portal, and we called it the CEO dashboard, where the top management can track the portfolio performance. So who's familiar with this situation? This is actually the reaction you will have when using current financial solutions. Trust me, you will not have this experience with Investera. we have invested a lot of time on design. Our designers put a lot of effort into making Investera the most user-friendly investment management platform on the market. Our research has found that most of the companies using the current market software only need 20 to 50% of the features provided, but they are forced to buy them all. Investera offers bespoke solutions, so you only buy the features that you need. Whether you wish to install Investera on-premise or use Investera's cloud solution, our experienced developers will be on hand to help you every step of the way. Before I finish my presentation, let us watch this short video together, please.
Here's an investor, and here's a portfolio manager. The investor just spotted an investment opportunity, and he needs some critical data. He calls the portfolio manager a busy and hassled man. IRR? AUM? Trends? Allocation? He fumbles and mumbles. He doesn't have the information ready. He calls his investment analyst. She starts doing calculations on a spreadsheet. But the calculation is complex. Will she make mistakes? He's going mad. By then, the investor disconnects. After some time, the portfolio manager calls the investor back. He gives him the numbers, but by now the investor has found better service elsewhere. It's a lost opportunity. Enter Investera, a modern investment management system that helps you access all relevant details on time, every time, in real time. Investera uses an internal search engine and smart dashboards to provide you all the data you need, anytime, anywhere. No multiple phone calls, no complex calculations. Just accurate information at your fingertips, even from your mobile. Now the investor calls the portfolio manager. This time, he has all the important numbers and KPIs. And he's already emailed it to the investor through Investera Integrated Email Service. With Investera, the portfolio manager effortlessly manages every aspect of the investment process on a single platform, making life easier for him. Investera. Save time. Seize opportunity.
I would like to thank the team who developed this product. Some of them are with us today here, so thank you guys. And if you would like to ask any question, please approach to me after the event, and I'm ready to answer any of your questions. Thank you a lot.
Thank you for a great introduction there, and I love the video, whoever put that together. It's fantastic. Right. Congratulations on a wonderful launch this morning, an amazing product. My name is Jeremy Lawrence. I'm the editorial director of Arabian Business. And at Arabian Business, we are talking about business trends every week, and there is nothing that's going to shape the future of business more than financial technology. How could it not? It's going to have a transformative impact on the way that everyone does things. So we're going to widen things out now with a panel discussion and a chance for you to ask some questions as well. So I would like to welcome to the stage here Divyesh Mahajan, CTO at Algorithma. Please welcome him. We have Ihab Al-Sharafa, Managing Partner and SVP Enterprise at Arabia Weather. And we have Waylam Kwok, who's Executive Director of Capital Markets at Abu Dhabi Global Markets. There we go. Oh, there we are. I thought we were missing one then. So, welcome, guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we've had some very thought-provoking questions raised this morning. So let's turn to the sort of where all this sits in the markets, because we've got a fantastic product now that's going to be so useful. But where does this fit into the wider ecosystem? So Divyesh, let's first focus on the product. I want to ask you, what has changed from a technical and a regulatory perspective to make this product possible right now? Because there's two parts to it, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, the first part to this problem is the pain point. Currently, Investera addresses one clear pain point in managing private investments. So that's how it has evolved. From a regulatory perspective, new things are coming up, blockchain-based solutions and things like that. And Investera eventually will use blockchain in order to manage the process as well. So from a regulatory perspective, adoption of more new technologies such as blockchain will enable Investera. And from where we are starting in Investera is mainly addressing the pain points of the investment management industry in the private investment space.
Okay. How long did it take to develop from sort of having the idea to today?
We started with a smaller team. Could have been around 12 months or so.
Okay. Ihab, what's the potential, again, widening it out further, for fintech in the region? Because you work in this space of technology generally, so, and I want you to tell us about that. And what more do we need to do to unleash the potential in a wider sense? So first, just if you can tell us what you do, and then we'll come to that question.
Sure. My name is Ihab Al-Sharafa. I'm a managing partner at Arabia Weather, a technology startup. I've been in technology for many years. Let's just step back for a second and talk about fintech in general. What is fintech, and how does Investera fit into fintech? Fintech is the technology of managing financial services. Pure and simple, the technology that's managing financial services in a way that impacts the customer journey positively. So that customer journey could, in the fintech consumer part, we all know the consumer fintech journey, but it also manifests itself in a B2B environment such as Investera. So here the end customer or the user is the portfolio manager, as we saw in the video, or many other investment firms, venture capitalists, etc. I think the potential for such software and in the region, and for fintech in the region, is massive. Yes. I think we have many factors and trends, if we look at the past, that is ripe in the region, whether it's the availability of funds, whether it's the technological advancement in big data and in computing that's enabling this, whether it is the regulatory environment that is forward-thinking enough to actually adopt fintech and to adopt such software in a way that helps them, that enables them. Okay.
We'll come back again to the transformative effects that all this can have. But first, Waylam, you've got a very, very interesting perspective on all this. So can you tell us about what you do for a living, and then we'll come to how that relates to today.
Right. Hi, everyone. I'm Waylam. I am part of the Financial Regulatory Authority in ADGM, Abu Dhabi Global Market. So what I do is I head up the capital markets supervision team. Fintech happens to be under my remit as well. So anything about fintech in ADGM, I do have oversight of it. Right. As a regulator, it's actually ironic to say that I find that regulations are the one that are probably creating the most hindrance to fintech development. So we resolved to overcome that very early on. We want to embrace fintech in a big way because we recognize the future of finance is solely digital, right? So once you recognize that, really there's no half-mindedness about embracing fintech. What we did in terms of helping create a regulatory regime is to develop the sandbox, right? I think by now most of you would be familiar with the concept of sandbox. It's not new. We went live with our sandbox in November 2016, so we have about 18 months of experience working with the sandbox and fintech participants. And I would say the experience has been very, very, very useful as a regulator. First and foremost, I think we have so far admitted 16 applicants out of 16 firms out of 33 applicants over 2 batches of applicants, and we just opened our 3rd batch last month. And of course, this time around, our focus is slightly more focused on SME financing, but that doesn't mean that we are stopping from various innovative solutions from applying, right? That experience dealing with the fintechs, and it ranges from payments to cryptos to ICOs, so on and so forth, has helped us better understand the risk involved, and in turn help us draft regulations appropriately to support the adoption of fintech in a bigger way. So just by way of example, last October we issued the first guidance on ICOs, how we tackle it, so on and so forth. And in fact, yesterday we released our consultation paper on the crypto asset regulatory framework. So all these are a result of us being able to interact very closely with the fintech and understand what are the risks, what are the challenges that they face, and hopefully design something which will allow them to deploy their solutions in a meaningful manner, right? I'll pause there, but the story is beyond regulations as well, and I'm sure you touch on that later on.
Okay, so you have to be nice to Waylon because he's the regulator here. So
Yes.
he could make your life very, very smooth or very difficult. Waylon, you mentioned challenges and obstacles there. You see these people coming through your door every day. What are the main challenges that people and organizations wanting to get into this space face?
Okay. The most obvious to me was, of course, first of all, a cost-effective regime for them to operate in, right? Because these are startups, right? And we, as a regulator, realize that we cannot do everything on our own. But those that are within our sphere of influence, for example, introducing regulations on a light touch manner in the first instance and slowly, gradually scale up as their business scales. I think that's what we can do. We can develop appropriate onboarding processes like licensing fees as well as work environment, cost-effective co-working spaces, so on and so forth. Those are again within our control. But what is slightly beyond our control is getting people who are able to advise, get them to understand the financial sector, because most of these, unless your previous background is from the financial sector, you really have no idea how to navigate the regulatory system and the financial system. So some pure tech firms come in, and usually what we do is to try to set up a community of mentors, which we have as part of our sandbox regime. We bring in the investors, we bring in the financial institutions, get them to work together with a view to developing something which is perhaps more scalable, more deployable. Yeah, so those are snippets of the sort of pain points that we see. But certainly for the startups, cost, quick onboarding, move fast is one thing that they're always harping on. The financial institutions are always looking for what are the regulations that are blocking me from adopting this in a bigger way. So I think we are right in the middle trying to bring the two together, and hopefully we've been doing a good job, and happy to say that we were awarded the FinTech Regulator of the Year earlier this year by Seamless. Yeah.
Okay. I guess at times you've got the two sides speaking different languages, the technical people and the financial people.
Correct.
A couple of big questions here then, really getting to the heart of things. Divyesh.
Yes.
Which technologies will have the biggest impact on finance? Robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, or blockchain? That's an easy one for you.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, definitely blockchain, artificial intelligence, and automation in that order. Use case of blockchain is clear, bitcoins and cryptocurrencies, which are obviously already making a huge dent in the operations of the financial industry, and I'm sure Vailam is also, busy with drafting more regulations around it. AI definitely in the space of, automated trades. More and more automated trading algorithms are coming to the market. And I think Ihab's thesis around how these AI-based algorithms can actually take input on weather-related information, both in insurance and fintech sector, can have huge impact on the way as to how financial services industry will go. Voice assistants.
Okay. Is Investera, you say it's not using blockchain yet, but it will do?
It's in the process of incorporating structures on blockchain technology. So yeah, we are in the process of going there.
I mean, because we hear such a lot about blockchain, but a lot of its uses that have not been implemented yet, they're coming soon. In fact, I wonder if that's something we can ask out here, if anyone's got any works in sectors or in your business where you actually see blockchain being used right now rather than being talked about being used. Get a show of hands of anyone who's working with it right now. So that's no one yet.
So
So it's going to be very, very big, but just not quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, there are implementation-related things as to which fabric do you use, and so things are coming up. And as regulation is also evolving in this space, I think when it will come up, you will see a lot of activity taking place suddenly in this space. So just watch out. I mean, everybody is bullish. Use case is clear on cryptocurrencies, and that has proven a success. So
Right.
it is going to be there in some form or manner.
Sure. Ehab, in implementing these advanced technologies, is this, and something like Investera, is this a business facilitator or is it a business transformer?
Great question. I mean, I think it's both. If I would be honest, I know it sounds like the easy answer, but it really is both. If you look at a use case of how is it a transformer, and we integrate weather data and weather forecasting with fintech, right? Today, we are part of the ecosystem at Arabia Weather of fintech, believe it or not, by actually issuing seasonal forecast that controls or dictates what commodity trading would look like. So you can actually trade commodity derivatives based on weather forecast for the upcoming season. With fintech and with software such as Investera, you can actually do the process flow and the documentation in real time and allow these traders to actually, and the investing firm, entity, whoever that is, to make an informed decision with live data on as soon as the forecast is issued. And so in this way, it's transformational, okay? In that, as most technology is, right? Fintech is, providing the technology for those individuals that are making the investment decisions in a timely way. So I think it is transformational, but I also think, obviously, it also does the basic role of facilitating a trade or a transaction as well.
Okay, that's pretty transformational, isn't it? If it's actually changing the nature of the way people invest rather than just facilitating it.
Absolutely.
Waylon, you're seeing again these new companies coming through your door with these new ideas. Will these standalone fintech companies replace conventional financial services providers? Are we seeing a revolution here?
Right. My honest opinion of that is I don't think it will replace. There are certain things that each party will bring to the table in terms of value, right? Startups obviously have the innovation, but in order for them to scale, in order for them to deploy the solutions to target or reach a wider audience, I can't see them not collaborating with the incumbents and established firms. And the established firms are there for a reason because they obviously have the trust of the customers, right? So to me, the simple equation of allowing them to scale and deploy, you really can't do it without the incumbents. What I'm seeing for some of these startups coming on board is that increasingly they're also tapping on the network of the financial institutions, not just from the compliance perspective, but also from the expertise point of view, understanding what the regulators think and so on and so forth, right? In the blockchain, for example, right, they might have a use case that they have an idea of how the blockchain can be deployed, right? But it is usually the financial institutions that have the idea of how it can be deployed in the proper use case, right? So, for example, currently in our sandbox, we have one firm that wants to do in the private markets to do a private placement ICO, right? But for them to do that and understand what are the issues that the regulations are targeting at, they didn't realize that under our rules, seriously, you cannot just offer to everyone all and sundry, right? Our rules require you to have proper requirements in terms of disclosure, prospectus, and qualified investors, right? So they have a solution that is able to codify and embed regulatory requirements into their tokens, such that when it gets offered to the public, so to speak, only the qualified investors have access to these tokens, right? Now, if you ask the startup alone to do that, I don't think they were able to bring that perspective of how it can be coded or how it can be integrated into a solution, right? So for those conversations, I think you get better effect, better outcomes, better risk management outcomes through the conversation with the incumbents. So I really don't see how the incumbents will be losing their relevance and in this conversation. Yeah.
Okay. Divyesh, we've talked about these grand plans and how it's going to change the world, although not replacing the big institutions.
Yeah.
But going back to the nitty-gritty of the Investera app and the work that your business does, you can tell your clients, you can enhance your investments, you can get better returns. You can,
process as well.
The process can be so much better, which presumably leads on to
yes,
enhanced
correct.
returns,
Absolutely.
of course. Sorry.
Better decision making, basically.
Yeah. But presumably, when you're talking especially to family offices and sort of private equity
Correct.
firms, they're also very conservative in their habits. They're protecting the sort of the family money.
Correct.
So what resistance do you run up against most often?
Yes. So, as Mahmood also showed, private investments is a $52 trillion industry last year, right? And it's constantly growing by 10 to 15% per annum. Now, one of the pain points is lack of transparency of the whole process. Where the structures are, how my investment is structured, when the board meeting will happen, what are the action items and things like that. Investera would like to bring a transparency to that process. It will enable the investor more. They'll be more willing to take that risk about regulation, about compliance, and about corporate governance. This is the space where Investera will enable the investors more. As opposed to a listed security, you can go and buy a stock directly in the market, but unlisted securities, private investments are a lot of different kind of challenges in order to manage, not only buy, but manage that investment over a period of time, let's say 5 years, for family offices particularly. So this is the space, this is the big space that Investera will be.
And personal relations are important, aren't they, as well, in this part of the world? So
Absolutely.
how do you get around that when everything's done via an app?
So personal relationships are important to the extent that there are introductions, but the day-to-day management of the investment per se has to be more organized and more streamlined. So that is where it will bring more method to that whole sequence of affairs that happens around personal.
Right. So it's not an either-or. You're not ruling out those old and very well-built relations. You're just helping to make them easier to
yes.
manage.
Yes, correct.
Right. Ehab, I've got a statistic here that just 1.7% of the GCC workforce is made up of digital professionals compared to 5.4% in the EU. As an expert in this field in the region, how much of a problem is this for you when you want staff or when you want to develop this space?
Certainly the availability of skilled workers as technology develop has been an ongoing issue, not just in this region, but in general. With the introduction of fintech technologies, we're seeing a shift in the skilled worker a little bit. You look at banks as an example. I think 1 in 5 employees in every bank is in risk and compliance. I think one bank, I can't remember, I think it's Citibank, 200,000 employees, 40 employees are in risk and compliance, 40,000. So 1 in 5. With the emergence of technologies in fintech and others, that number has a lot of pressure on being reduced because through automation, through OCR, which is optical character recognition, and a whole bunch of other things, the validation, the authentication of the people is really happening through automation and through technology. And so those workers, it's just the type of skills that were needed in the market now is moving towards more the technology development, the automation development, the robotics, and a whole bunch of other things than it is through the traditional means of doing it. And so as the region adopts, which I'm seeing it is right now, as most emerging markets are, to technologies in the fintech field. And as regulators are pushing those change, we'll see the region getting more of these workers through developing them locally, through training, and I think the regulators are actually helping with that. And then the other thing is to actually import them from other regions, leading regions such as Europe in that field.
Okay.
Just to complement that point about us regulator doing something which we don't normally do, is that we have this HR Academy that actually ties up with various fintech institutions to provide courses as well as modules to help financial practitioners understand and move into that space. So we recently tied up with Fintech Circle Institute, which is one of the biggest training provider in the fintech space. Of course, we're working with INSEAD and New York University as well to develop entrepreneur skills, venture investing skills, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay, so you're working to develop this space as well.
Yeah.
Right, in this region, it's a time of huge opportunities as well as challenges. In Saudi, you've got Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 plan, his $500 billion NEOM city proposal, which he wants it to be, cutting-edge solutions to the way everything's done, really. In Bahrain, you've got FinTech Bay, the region's first onshore regulatory sandbox. It's a smaller project, but it's actually happening now. So, Wailum, let's talk about the opportunities and how people here can maximize those. If you can talk about Saudi first, and we'll come on to Bahrain.
Sure. So again, it goes back to the point about scaling, right? In order for innovation to take root, you need to have the market to scale. So the region as a whole has huge potential, right? And we recognize that very early on as well, trying to bring the regional regulators together to understand fintech so that they can also update their rules accordingly to support innovation. So last year, we hosted our first regional regulators roundtable to talk about nothing but fintech, talking about cloud, talking about eKYC, so on and so forth, right? Now, arising from those conversations, we have since gone into bilateral conversations with fellow regulators in SAMA, who I think 2 days ago launched their Sandbox initiative. And the journey towards that Sandbox initiative for them involves a lot of conversations with us, and we are more than happy to share what we have learned in our journey. And FinTech Bay in Bahrain, Bahrain signed a MOU FinTech Bridge with us, which allows to help our innovators from this region move to the Bahrain markets, so on and so forth, vice versa. Right? So those are things which are trying to do at the G2G level to enlarge the market space. There's also a lot of scope to be done at the B2B level, but I will not elaborate on that. But what is interesting arising from our Sandbox initiative is that we do see our participants in the Sandbox, and one of them is from Saudi, one of them is actually from UAE, right? One of them has actually joined the Bahrain Sandbox, and arising from that interaction, you find that the Bahrainian regulators are asking the questions of how they are being regulated in our Sandbox. And basically through that knowledge transmission, they are basically, I would say, learning that journey as well, right? In SAMA, we have one applicant in our Sandbox, Halala, right, who is now also applying for their Sandbox in SAMA. So hopefully through such interactions, you see a global leveling of the standards and understanding of fintech, which hopefully will allow the fintech players to passport around the region, right? So that's our larger vision, and I hope that we'll continue to work at it and bring it to reality.
So you're able to develop best practices which can be rolled out across the region and adapted.
Hopefully.
Divyesh, what opportunities are you seeing further afield in the region as a company?
I mean, in terms of fintech space or in general?
Well, fintech.
Yeah. I mean, fintech space in general, I mean, you'd be amazed at how much money moves, and this industry is not, properly tech-enabled. So, private equity space is one where clearly we are playing. I think there is another space which is listed, and using more AI in trading could be another space. Also, bringing more, enabling crypto assets I think this is the third space where Willem will also have some suggestions around it. But if you were to map out 2-3 areas, I think these are 2-3 very big areas where there's a scope in this region.
Okay, I hope someone wrote that down. Ehab, here's an interesting thing to think about. Half of all MENA-based fintech startups were founded after 2012. Hence, while most of the region's startups are still in their early stage, the industry is poised to witness its second group of scale-ups before the end of the decade. Do you agree with this theory, and what will those startups look like?
If you look at when fintech started taking off, it was after the financial crisis. So while the startup launched in terms of their seed rounds and in terms of their incorporation, that was, you said 2012, but really the original ideas started 2009, 2010, right after the crisis. And that was because many of the banks started feeling pressure and on their bottom lines, not only by default of their customers, but also by customers demanding better service for lower fees. And so that flat fee system is under severe pressure and right down to zero. So fintech, so they started looking for technologies to enable them to add more value and to generate new revenue. And so going back to the banks for a second, when you look at it, they're really the largest spenders of IT in any single category. They're the biggest spenders, the biggest buyers of IT services. And that's why fintech took off. It wasn't just IT, it was financial services IT, and the banks started spending on it. So I think the need was there. It was generated by the crisis. It was generated by the regulators that pushed legislation such as open data sharing and a number of other things that, again, forced banks to invest in technology. And so they started eating their own dog food and investing in startups and that will provide them solutions to deal with the regulation and to deal with the technology threats that they're facing after the crisis. So that was the first wave. And as a startup in Arabia Weather, I can tell you, try competing for funds with a private equity firm or with a venture capitalist that is, have a limited amount of funds against a fintech company, okay? It's taken all the attention. Fintech is where it's at. Fintech is where the return is, and that's where all the funding is in terms of dollars spent. In fact, entire funds are opening with a mandate to invest in fintech. So I do see the second wave coming. I do agree with your statement. It will go hand in hand with regulations and regulatory changes, and it will provide solutions to clients and consumers that actually make sense. If you look at crypto or blockchain as a concept, I'll tell you out of personal experience, try wiring money from one country, my background is in Canada, to Dubai, from your own personal account to your own personal account. It's a 2 to 3 week process to get the money and to pay the fees, okay? With blockchain technology in the form of cryptocurrency in this case, you can do it in 20 minutes. And so the business case is there, the investment in the technology is there, and it makes a lot of sense for it to stay, and I see the next wave coming.
Can I just ask if in that 20 minutes the value of your money had halved or doubled?
Yeah, price volatility is a second topic, but the technology is there.
Great. Well, we've been going about half an hour, so I'd like to throw it out to the floor to see if we've got any questions from anyone for these gentlemen.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank the Investera for the invitation. I am Professor Nizar, Accounting and Finance, Skyline University College. As an academician, we really appreciate the idea of Investera for providing a proper, accurate information to the market, which will have its impacts, because this is what we need. The accurate information. Information is important in every stage of financial market process. So my question to Mr. Divyash is, the data provided through the Investera, is it limited to GCC region or is it international market? It can be helpful for the investment also, because as we see nowadays, the whole world is an open market.
Yes, absolutely.
So investment, always opportunities. So will Investera do provide information for the international markets?
Yeah, it is meant to be a global product. We'd like to be called, like to see ourselves as global players. The beauty is that the investment process is the same across the globe. And once we nail it down to the specifics of the requirements here, there's no reason why we should stop here. You know, we will only evolve from here. This will be truly a place where we have born, but we are a global product, basically.
The second part of the question is the data is actual data which is already happened, or is there any prediction, estimation for proper advices or solutions for the investor?
Yes, there will certainly be offshoots of that. So there will be raw information that will be uploaded on the system, plus there will be other databases it will be connected to. And I would envisage, even after talking to Ihab, why don't we take and input weather-related information and generate some trading signals that will only help investment managers to make better investment decisions. So these are some things that we will be able to incorporate within Investera going forward. Today, our focus remains in managing the investment process.
So you have also a human being behind these machines to provide their advices, or it's only based on figures calculation? Like you have a team, profile managers, for example, to be connected for investors, or is it just based on analysis of
Investera is a technology platform, right? So most of the work that Investera does will be enabled by the technology. So Investera also will enable the process of investment, right? So ultimate decision of investing would ultimately lie with the professional who is using Investera. It can only suggest, recommend, and manage its process.
Okay, thank you, and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for those questions. The gentleman over here has a question.
Hi, good morning. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just two quick questions. First is, what's your data source for Investera? And second is, could you give us shed some light on your commercial terms in terms of pricing? Is it a licensing fee, a monthly fee?
Mahmood is the right person to, I'll point you to Mahmood.
He's getting straight to the point there, wasn't it? How much is it going to cost me?
You can raise your hand, Mahmood. I think a lot of people want to.
You've got a live client here.
A lot of clients. In terms of, I think it's reasonable, I must say. And in terms of data sources, currently user will provide the draw data on its own set of investments, which will be generated as reports. This is how it is today. Going forward, we will take inputs, a lot of secondary data sources in order to create more signals. So this is how it will be. So user provides most of the information. That's how it is today. Yeah.
Why would I use Investera? That's number one.
Yeah.
And then my second question, which goes in line with the professor's question, I think. He was alluding to the fact that does Investera have the capability to do artificial intelligence investment decision making? I think that's
the
second part of the question that goes in line with what the professor was asking. So is this something that Investera is going to be able to do in the future?
Yes. So yeah, I'll address the first part, why Investera, what is the pain point. So coming from a background in investment management, the clear pain point is that the investment process is still managed using Excel. The reporting is cumbersome. It becomes non-transparent at senior management level. So if a particular investment has to be made, 10 different SPVs have to be formed, their compliance issues arise, the corporate governance issue arise, who is the director of which company, and board minutes, action items. All these things need to be tracked comprehensively in order to manage a non-listed private investment. So Investera manages or attempts to ease that whole process by bringing more transparency for the investor. Consider a family office which has 100 different investments in non-listed assets, small companies. How could a set of 2 or 3 analysts manage the renewal? When is the renewal of trade licenses going to happen? What kind of filings they have to do in terms of their audit reports? This whole process is a very big nightmare actually for family offices, very big pain point. Investera comes there. It not only gives, it pops up or sends the messages, yes, today your 3 licenses are expired, why don't you just go and file for it? And if there is a change in regulation, it can highlight that you cannot be a board director for 10 companies now. You are already, so all these things need to be addressed. These are serious compliance risks on directors actually, and in their own personal capacities they are. So I think this is a very big problem in the industry, and you'll be amazed, how much money moves in the financial services industry, and a lot is still dependent on paperwork, trade licenses, and so there has to be a process where you move out from the Microsoft folder, you click your investment name, your trade license is this, board minutes for 2017 is this, 2018 is this. This is, to me, to us, and to the people we have spoken with, they all agree and they kind of love what Investera has done so far to them. So that's kind of, re-emphasizes our faith in our product, basically. Because clients are saying that, yes, we need it. So that's like why Investera. And the second point is, will Investera have AI in the future? The answer is, emphatic yes. This is where we want to enable investors not only manage their investment process, but also get signals as to what can they do next. As I mentioned, I was speaking with Ihab, and weather-related information is a huge, interesting, forward-looking signal on commodities, right? So if you have local weather information, and then you can understand whether there will be demand for certain commodities, it could be a very interesting signal. So all these things will only enable investor more. So going forward, yes, we would like to have AI-based signals. Thank you.
Hi, I have actually 2 questions. First question is, does Investera has an offline version, like it doesn't require internet, or it has to have all the time a connection with internet, and there is some other servers that they are satisfying and answering all the algorithms? And because actually it might be some sort of a security advantage. Yeah. Some people, they don't want to be online all the time. And the second question is, do you have an Arabic version for it?
Mahmood, I think these 2 questions are for you. Going forward, I think in our roadmap, we should have an Arabic version or local versions. And the first question relates to the security. While I, empathize with what you are saying, that they should have an offline system, but security mechanisms can be still encapsulated, and we can accomplish whatever you wish to do, even it being online. You see? The technology now enables us that. And Mahmood, you can shed more light on this, basically.
I believe they are. As per to the presentation, there is an online software as a service type version, but there's also a local server type version that can connect to an office environment without going outside of those walls. So that's available.
Great. We had a question first at the back there.
Congratulations and best wishes. One question. Does Investera reduce or replace the role of financial advisors?
It will enhance, definitely enhance. It will enable the investment professionals more. It will bring more transparency to the profession. And as we have already seen in many places, improved transparency attracts more capital, not less. It makes the business more efficient. It makes the thing thrive more. So the answer is it will enable them more, definitely.
So as an investor, you still need a financial advisor, is it?
Correct, yes. So we are slightly, a step behind that, because in the sense we come at a stage before that, we are managing the investment process. Investment advisors tell us which investments to make, and then it comes into that process, so to speak, right? So we are already complementary to that process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got a question down here. We're going to have to wrap up soon, but we'll take the question down here.
Mr. Divier, we go back to the security, but before that, I would like to ask, is this Investera is locally developed?
Yes, we are very proud to say that it is developed in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Yes.
And where it is hosted?
Yeah, interesting. It's hosted in the cloud, so to speak.
Yeah, but
yeah, it can be hosted in
what kind
local.
of backup company support or something?
Correct, yes.
And we talked about security. What is
Yes.
the level of privacy and security ensured in the system? Because it's quite important
Yes.
before take a decision on using Investera.
Yeah, it's absolutely essential for us to comply and be audited at the highest level of security standards. We are very much aware, and we take that responsibility onto ourselves to have the best security standards of whatever the industry demands. Because ultimately this reporting is very key and and we are dealing with very, very confidential information. So we are following the best industry standards with regards to the security standards.
But is there any regulatory authority that will be foreseeing this kind of privacy level?
So what happens is, in this space, we can conduct an audit on ourselves, and that audit there's no such regulatory body that regulates the governance of a software standard, so to speak. But there are audit firms that can provide their report that this follows the best industry practices, and this has to be regularly revised, because security is something that every 3 months it has to be re-looked at. Having said that there are certain best industry practices that need to be followed in order to come to that level. We are happy to mention that we already follow those best industry practices on security, and we are internally have a culture of always discussing whether this particular process will make it less secure or not. That is an organization-wide culture, and we take this aspect of security very seriously, and we are very mindful that we are dealing with very confidential data, especially what is happening with Facebook, etc. We are very mindful and very cautious about that.
Great, thanks for that answer. I think we've got time for one more question. I think then we need to wrap things up. Do we have one more question?
Let me answer.
Over there.
Mahmoud has a point.
Oh, sorry. Here, sorry. Thank you. Yeah, so in terms of security, actually, as I mentioned in my presentation, so we allowed the user of the system to install the system on cloud-based and also on premises. Also, because we understand the sensitivity of those documents, I mean the investment-related document, we are speaking about KYC document for investors, for investments, and everybody is really they need all those documents to be really secured and tested. What we did actually, we encrypted the end-to-end data, so nobody in between can, read those data or the information there. Even for the documents, we allowed the user to mark any of those documents as confidential documents, and even at that level, if you have even a privilege to that document, you cannot read it without an OTP password to be sent to your mobile or your email. And at that level, you will be sure that all your documents and data encrypted, and nobody else can reach out to those documents. Hopefully that I answered to your question. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. One last question down here, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Afifi from Madar University College from the School of Engineering and Information Technology. I would like to ask Mr. Divyesh here again, talking about Investera as, saving time or save time, seize opportunity.
Yes, seize opportunity.
And actually, I would like to see the part of consultation. Where does it come in? And talking about signals in general, most of the trades that happens, is it being taking place at the customer's risk or at Investera risk? And talking about the signals again, it might be looking like a long question here, but is it basically like Investera is generating those signals that is being provided to the customer so that Investera will be held responsible for the risk management and so, or is it being gotten from somewhere else? And where is it gotten from? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think it's a very important question. The investment decision lies with the investment manager. Right? The decision what to invest in. Once that investment is done, then Investera will help manage the investment process, which means that clearly articulate where your money is going, which SPV, how are the board minutes ready, are the financial statements audited, etc., etc. Are the trade licenses done, etc., or they are compliant, etc. So that's a whole gamut of investment management process once the investment decision is done. Now, in addition to this, what Investera will provide going forward is the ability to process a lot of raw data coming from different parties, which could be, let's say, weather data. It could be immigration data. It could be contracts data. How many contracts are issued for real estate development? All these signals basically are not wholesome or wholesomely or comprehensively being used, especially in the region, to discuss as to what will be the economic growth or activity. Because all these factors significant, because we have a very different kind of economic, what do I call, nuances, which are different from how you look at markets such as UK or US. They may want to look at employment numbers and their own set of standards, but we may have different set of metrics that we can use that can affect our the economic activity in the region. So going forward, to answer the second part of your question, is that going forward, it will process raw data and create its own signals that will be passed on to the investment manager to then take its own view whether to go forward with a particular investment or not. But once the decision is made, then the investment comes into the Investera pipeline and then it is managed. The whole idea is to enable the investment manager more so that he can sleep well knowing that things are in order. That is the idea.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for all those questions. We're going to have to wrap things up now because we've got other things to get through. So that's been a really good in-depth look at Investera, and thank you again for those questions. And it's been great to widen it out and look into how that sits within the region as well, because these are fascinating times, not just for your company, but for everybody else's businesses here and for the region. So I want to say thanks again to Waylam Kwok, Executive Director of Capital Markets, Abu Dhabi Global Market, Ihab Al-Sharafa, Managing Partner, SVP Arabia Weather, and of course Divyesh Mahajan, CTO here at Investera, so an algorithm. Thank you so much, and thank you to all for attending.
Thank you.